Good day. This video is going to be about comparing ourselves and the need to compare ourselves with others and why it is that we do that. And comparing ourselves to others is directly related, in my point of view and my experience, to the fact that we lack self-confidence. So comparing is just a symptom of the deeper layer of the lack in confidence, and the lack in confidence is even a symptom of a deeper layer, that we don't see our true selves, our uniqueness. So how did this arise in our lives to compare ourselves? And actually it starts quite at a young age already. You might have noticed that children are playing with each other, but can also be a little bit jealous if another child has nicer toys or more beautiful toys than they have. So this sense of comparing and competing is very much related. And that is, I would almost say, almost in our DNA, that we are doing that because we constantly have to perform in this world. We have to achieve something, and therefore we have to compete, we told ourselves. We have to compete to survive in this world. And even though the survival of the fittest might be a true statement, as Darwin once said, I think it's translated in a very wrong way and not supportive way to us. So competition is based on win-lose principle. So I win, but before I win, you have to lose. So it's all kind of related to each other, and the comparing is what shows up most in our lives, because we constantly, especially with social media right now, we constantly are confronted with what other people do. And not all the messages online are purely authentic. So we've also learned to just show up better than we actually are feeling in that moment, because we have to promote ourselves, we have to show a better picture of ourselves, a better picture of our lives. So we get a confirmation from the outer world, and that makes us feel better again. So it's a constant battle of the ego needing to confirm. And when we are the ones who are comparing ourselves with others, we get into this field of feeling less good, not good enough, of well, he or she has something that I desire. So we're actually playing with the outer world and not seeing what it is that we overlook within ourselves. And that's related to the self-confidence, and that's related to embracing our uniqueness. So it's quite a battle, this comparing and this competition. And as it's been in our system almost since we were, since the age we were able to talk and play with other children, not when we were younger. Then it was just all fine, we just played, and of course we wanted to catch something, but it was quite innocently. But when we got a little bit older and we went to school and we played outside with other children, we already felt this need for competition. And it's fed constantly. I mean, it's in our sports world, in our business world, in the competition between countries, it's everywhere. So it's not a surprise, and it's not weird that we're comparing ourselves constantly. So what to do next then? Where to start if you want to get out of this loop of comparing yourself? It helps as a first step to just notice that you are comparing yourself with others, and that shows up in various ways. You can judge another person and put that person down, like you criticize that person, and what you're actually doing is, by making that person feel less good, or telling other people that that person is less successful or less beautiful or whatever, you've actually tried to raise your own confidence very synthetically, actually, because it's not pure self-confidence, but you try to feel a bit better about yourself by putting someone else down. So that's one way of comparing ourselves. The other way is we just see the success or the beauty or the loving relationship another person shares with you. You kind of have this jealousy within yourself, and instead of feeling into your own empowerment, you kind of withdraw and feel less good about yourself, and you just only feel the fact that you're not good enough, and you actually start going down into the dynamic of suffering. And the third way of how we compare ourselves is really go full into competition. So if that person achieves very well or is very successful or has what you want to have, then we get very fired up and get into competition, which is most of the time not authentic as well, if that is the driver underneath it. So if the driver is comparing, and that you compare yourself with the other, then the outcome is inauthentic to you. And you might be successful for a long time, or you might achieve what you want to achieve for quite a while. But it takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy to keep up that game. So after years, or a couple of years, or months, depending how your system works, you will get drained because you're not using your full empowerment and your natural source of energy. So to get out of this loop is first, like I said, becoming aware. And secondly, ask yourself and become really aware what it is and why it is in that moment, in that specific moment, what you are comparing yourself with, and what it is that you cannot see fully within yourself. So if the topic is about achievement in business, then there's probably something within yourself that you find you're not good enough yet, or you haven't achieved yet, or your dream is to be like that and you haven't taken any steps yet, or you have taken steps yet but it hasn't shown up yet. And then it's just noticing that, and that's for every subject. So whether it's about comparing yourself with relationships of others, or comparing yourself with wealth or ease, or even spirituality levels of others that you think like, wow, that person is already so bright and so enlightened. But it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just observing that you are comparing, and just make a note of what it is that you're not seeing within yourself as fully, and where you cannot see your uniqueness in this, because we're all different from each other. We're all unique in a certain essence. And then it's just fully going into acceptance. Just note it and go into acceptance. And that releases the suffering that is most of the time underneath this reaction of comparing. So just let it go and just accept that you are comparing. Great. Just become aware of it. And then you will notice over time that soon you will compare less. Or soon you can just see and just be very compassionate and admiring a person for his or her achievement or his or her situation, what you in the past where you compare yourself with. And then you start building up your own life, and building up your own empowerment, and finding your own uniqueness, and finding your own alignment. And that's of course a process. It doesn't happen overnight, unfortunately. At least not for many of us. But just accepting that you are comparing is a great step forward. And then just let it go and focus back on, okay, but what is it that's in alignment for me? What is my purpose? What is my essence? What is my passion? What I would like to bring forth? And where can I connect with my love and essence of love? And that raises your frequency, and that raises also your empowerment. And then from that space on, when you feel this deep alignment within yourself that literally stretches your body, literally, you really feel more empowered, and the frequency in your system rises. And then you get out of this lower vibration of suffering. And it's a pattern that we have to get out of. It's a pattern that that our programming of we have to compete with each other by comparing the results, the win-lose dynamic, is where this world has become so intensely tiring most of the time. I mean, even if people present it's like energizing and it's amazing and they achieve so much, you never know what really is the picture behind it. You never know what they went through before they were on that level. You never know what really happens in a relationship if they present a picture perfect relationship. So you never know the struggle behind it, or I would even state it more positively, you never know the growth path that was behind it. So it's always going back to your own growth path, the path of your journey and the lessons that needs to be integrated, the acceptance of things that you don't longer resonate with. And by accepting, you literally let go of it. You don't focus on it anymore. But acceptance is needed in order to acknowledge it and become aware of it. So ignoring is not the way, it's acceptance. That's a very, very different attitude. And by accepting, you actually take the step to raising your vibration and getting into a higher vibes. And that might take sometimes a couple of days, sometimes a couple of weeks, depending on how intensely you were confronted with comparing with others. And sometimes it's just a very quick, smooth process. And depending on the themes you have in life, the most challenging ones, you will notice where you keep comparing yourself more than in other areas. And that's just a beautiful mirror. So try to see the journey of the other person and the result in between breaks, because you never know where they are, as a beautiful mirror, what it mirrors back to you, where you feel lack, because that's what you're actually feeling. You feel lack within yourself, and it's this lack of feeling and being fully aligned with your uniqueness. So accepting, comparing, and going back to your own alignment and finding your own path and following your own path. That's what I think is the first step. And there will be other forms of comparing showing up later, but this is the first step.